Hello and welcome to the Black and Gold Banneret YouTube channel. Bing! I am Bryson Turner, and you heard me and Eric Lopez preview the UCF women's and men's soccer teams and volleyball team. But we have one more fall sport that we have to preview, and it is the cross country team. I am joined here today by distance and cross country coach Bryan Harmon, who is entering his second season in Orlando with the Knights. Coach, how you doing today?
Doing well, Bryson. How are you?
I am doing quite well. So going into year number two, how does it feel to have like a full off season kind of under your belt now here in Orlando?
Yeah, it feels great. I'm way more comfortable, obviously. I know my way around. I know the ins and outs, but at the same time, I have a whole new team, I feel like. While I'm more comfortable with the day-to-days, while I'm more comfortable with what I want to do, we've got 8 new freshmen in the mix this year, so it's a completely different vibe than it was last year.
Yeah, tell us about those new freshmen. Of course, cross country usually a young leaning squad. And once again you have a lot of underclassmen on the squad this year. So what is it about this team that kind of you've noticed going into this fall?
I think their ignorance, which is a good thing. A lot of these freshmen just they're just here to work. When I stepped in last year, it was great because I stepped in so late and we had a lot of upperclassmen. So that transition was really smooth and they took a lot of pressure off me. But at the same time, a couple of them were set in their ways quite a bit. So there was a little bit of resistance here or there to some of the things that we wanted to do. Ultimately, it worked out. But this year, we just have a group of kids who want to listen. They're new to this, so they want to learn, they want to get better, and that's what I've seen in these first 2 weeks is just a group that's ready to train hard, ready to just sit back and take direction and get after it. And it's been fun so far.
So Isabella Richardson and Penelope Sosa, they've been, I would argue, kind of stars from the moment they just came onto UCF campus, and now they both become upperclassmen, part of a four athlete junior core on the team that are the oldest on the squad. What have you noticed with their development, and what could we see out of them this season?
Yeah, I think their confidence is the biggest thing. And that's something that we talked about towards the end of last track season when maybe we weren't at our best in terms of having the self-confidence, the ownership of what they're out there trying to do. We talked a lot about leadership and that coming into this fall, that somebody was going to have to step up. If we go into next fall without a leader, we're going to be pretty doomed. It doesn't matter how talented we are, the returners or the freshmen. So they've both have taken on a little bit more of that role. And I think they're excited to take on that role. And I think it's really exciting for them because we don't have a senior on the team. So they don't get to deflect. They don't get to defer. If something is an issue, it's on their shoulders. So it's forcing them to kind of take ownership, but it's also forcing them to create the culture that they want and that they feel the program deserves. And that's kind of been a little low-key exciting thing in these first 2 weeks. It's just kind of watching them kind of take charge. Not in any crazy big way, but just these little things on a day-to-day basis that a year ago would never even have they wouldn't have crossed their mind to be that sort of leader. So that's been exciting for them to kind of grow in that regard, and they need to continue to grow in that regard for us to be at our best.
Who among these returners would you say is in the best position to make a big jump from last year to this year as far as cross country is concerned?
Well, you touched on it. Izzy and Penelope have been, staples since they arrived on campus. When you talk about a team that loses 4 out of their top six from the previous year, there's a lot of questions, right? There's a lot of question marks, and you can look at 3 people in particular, and these girls were our 7, 8, and 9 runners pretty much every meet I think last year, and that's the Jazak twins and Abby Clements. So they know what's at stake. they understand that the opportunity for them to slide into those 4, 5, 6 positions are theirs, but they also know that there's a group of freshmen that are battling for it as well. So it'll be interesting for me to see if those three, are willing to step up and really willing to take ownership and not just sit back and be content with that 7, 8, 9 position that they were in last year. And if they're really, really willing to step up their game and take their game to a new level, which I think they are, and I think they would tell you that they are too. They've been great in these first 2 weeks as well, and there's a little bit more drive, there's a little bit more confidence, there's a little bit more aggression. Which is something we've talked about a lot. Sometimes people think women's cross country runners were these timid little people out there, but we got to be aggressive, and they've been really aggressive with some of the workouts that we've done in these first 2 weeks.
What can you tell me about this crop of new true freshmen? As I was kind of looking through doing my research, I noticed that Avery Lotto was able to put up quite a number during her high school career. So, I don't know what you noticed with Lotto since she came on campus, but what do you notice from her and the other true freshmen?
Yeah, she's been smooth, and her and Abby Clements went to high school together. So even though as a freshman, she's got a little bit of comfortability already because she's got a former teammate here, right? So she's been good, and we're not gonna rush her. I think she's somebody who can definitely fill that number 3 spot, but we're not putting that pressure on her to fill that number 3 spot behind Izzy and Penelope. But the talent is definitely there. Her long runs the last 2 weeks have been very, very good. Um, Confidence is another thing we talked about with her when we sat down for our individual beginning of the year meeting, just getting the understanding that you got to trust yourself and you got to trust your fitness level. And listen, at the end of the day, it's just running. Doesn't matter if you got these girls in other uniforms, Florida State. We'll see both of them this weekend at our home meet. But I don't care about the uniform. I care about what you can do, the trust that you have in your training, and going out there and executing a solid race. So yeah, Avery's definitely somebody we expect to be a void filler when you talk about trying to replace 4 of our top 6.
Yeah, yeah. What would you say is the difference between the 2024 UCF cross country team versus the 2023 UCF cross country team?
Um, I don't want to say anything that incriminates me with the 2023 team because I do like a lot of those girls that we lost to graduation, but um, there's a little bit more, I think, joy so far that I'm seeing every morning. You got to understand too, Bryson. We get started at 6:45 in the morning, right? Which means they're in the training room at 6:15, 6:20, something like that. So it's really easy to get up in the morning. It's 100% humidity out there in the morning before the sun even comes up. So it's really easy to kind of get lazy, kind of get a little meh, when you're walking to the training room sweating without even running yet. But these girls have brought a really good attitude every morning, and there's just a little bit more pep than we had last year, a little bit more joy, a little bit more happiness. And if you're out there enjoying what you're doing, you're going to perform better. So I expect and hope that that can translate a little bit. That we have found a way to enjoy some of these brutal mornings and enjoy each other's company. That's a big thing, right? You want 16 of us out there. We want to enjoy, for the most part, who were around at that time of the day. So, and I think they do. I'm thinking they've kind of rallied around each other. The upperclassmen have really done a good job of welcoming in the freshmen. So, yeah, that'd be what I say. Just a little bit more joy, just a little bit more pep in their step than last year.
You talked about welcoming several other Florida schools to your home meet, which is back on the schedule this year to start off the fall. That's which is going to be on the day after the kickoff football game. What's it like to be able to now put that home meet on for you, considering that it wasn't around for your first year?
Yeah, it's great. Besides the fact that I can't do anything with the course on Thursday because of all the tailgate cars that'll be parked on the course. But no, I think it's a great opportunity just to, open up the season with that sense of comfortability, right? Not having to get on the bus, not having to drive 3 hours, not getting back at 11 o'clock at night. We get to keep it at home. we work out on that course. We do loops around those ponds. We do fartlek workouts around those ponds. We're doing some 1Ks around those ponds tomorrow morning. So it's familiar to us. And when you have a group of freshmen that is big as the one we have, any sense of familiarity is going to be huge for us, right? So it gives us a chance to get one under our belt before we head up to Florida State in about 4 weeks from now. So we're excited for it. I'm excited for it, and hopefully we'll have a lot of the track girls out cheering us on. And I know our coaching staff is ready to be out there and cheering the girls on. And our new jumps coach will be driving the lead vehicle, so we're getting him involved right from the get-go. So yeah, it should be a fun evening on Friday. Looking forward to it.
Speaking of Florida State, you go there twice for pre-regionals on September 27th, and then the FSU invite on October 11th, and then you conclude the regular season with a trip out to Illinois with the Bradley Pink Classic. It's a considering that the UCF home meet wasn't even on the schedule last year. Last year is a completely new schedule from the regular season perspective. I just wanted to ask, like, what kind of went into kind of these changes in the schedule. Of course, the UCF meet is normal, and that was just absent last year. But in terms of these other three regular season meets, like, kind of what went into these meets specifically, and the changeover in schedule.
Sure. Well, the first thing with Florida State is that that's where the regional meet's going to be. So we wanted to make sure we got on that course, got an idea of what it's like. It's the 6,000-meter course at the regional meet. We're just running 5K at both the pre-regional and the invite there. But the other thing that's nice is uh, they're just, one overnight trip, right? We leave Thursday, go up there, run the course, race Friday, come back. It doesn't take a whole lot of energy and time in terms of getting on airplanes, getting through layovers. So I thought that was one thing, last year that we didn't need to do as much of. And sometimes I think when you do a little too much flying, it can take a little bit more out of you than you might think. But um, the other thing with Florida State is we can run our whole team there. A lot of these bigger invitationals, they'll restrict your entries. We can run anybody we want at both of those Florida State meets. So that's going to give everybody on our team an opportunity to compete, because I do suspect as we head into the Big 12 championships, where we can run 10 runners, we're going to have some people, challenging for those 7, 8, 9, 10 spots. And we want to give them opportunities to compete. And last year there was a little bit of space in between some of those meets, and some of those people didn't get a chance to really compete and earn a potential spot at that championship. The Bradley meet is interesting because that's 2 weeks out from the conference championship, and any cross country coach will tell you, that's your tune up, right? That's where you want to kind of be about 90-95% of your best. That's what you want to, when you take a look at your team, you want them to look like exactly what you're looking for when you get to that conference championship. So I wanted to go up north just for a little bit. It's an honest course. It's a fair course, but Illinois in the middle of October, we could get anything weather-wise. And when we went to the Big 12s last year, if you remember, Bryson, it was about 29 degrees. We had a little snow flurry here or there, and we weren't prepared for that. I think we handled it okay, but we still weren't prepared for it. So I wanted a crapshoot. It might be 85 degrees and sunny. It might be 30 degrees and rainy up there in Bradley. So I kind of wanted that little mystery to be on there. It's still a good competitive meet. It's one of the better meets in the Midwest that weekend. Fair course, honest course. If you run well, you can run fast. If you don't run well, it can eat you up. That sort of thing. So thought it was a good mix with the team we have. We went to Texas A&M last year, and I think we'd like to go back to that meet when we get a little more seasoned, when our freshmen maybe have a little bit more experience.
Well, you are going to be able to go back to Texas for the Big 12 championship meet. It's going to be in Waco. After finishing 11th at the meet last time, what did you learn from that you look to kind of instill in the team so you can prepare for this next one?
Yeah, that there's just no pushovers. The Big 12 has changed again since last year. Colorado and Utah are cross country powerhouses. They're distance running powerhouses. So those are two more schools that are going to really have turned the Big 12 into what I would call the best distance running conference in the country. So we have to be prideful that we get to be a part of that. But we just have to understand that the well has to be emptied or the tank has to be emptied on that day, and that there's no saving anything because if you aren't willing to put it all out there, there's 15 other schools and 15 other programs that have no problem putting it all out there and no problem going to the well and no problem emptying the tank. So we've
You
got to be.
mentioned that you mentioned that the regional is going to be in Tallahassee. How big is it to get that experience in FSU beforehand, going with the regional in the same on the same course?
Yeah, I think it's good. And the nice thing about Tallahassee, I don't like to say a lot of nice things about Florida State, but they do have one of the best cross country courses in the country. And it is a privilege to run on that course. They do an amazing job hosting. That course is a championship course. It's been a national championship course. It's been a world cross country course. So you really, there's a lot of different ways you can run that course. It's one of those courses where you can actually talk about different strategies and different race strategies, and I think that's fun. You don't always get that on a lot of courses, but the nice thing is most of our team is from Florida, so they have familiarity with that course already. And anytime you can feel comfortable on the race course at a championship is a plus. And I was actually thinking about this the other day. I think everybody on our team has run on that course except maybe Izzy. I think she might be the only one who hasn't, because I don't think we didn't go there last year, and I don't think she went her freshman year, if I remember right. I have to go look, but the rest of our kids are from Florida, and she's obviously not. So the Florida kids would have ran that course in high school, but she hasn't. So I think she's the only one on the team that hasn't run that course.
Hmm. Interesting. So so considering that type of course, then what would that what does that opportunity kind of look like for Racy to get some time on there?
Yeah, I think it's huge, and she's going to get a chance to run it potentially two different ways, during the regular season. So, we might approach it a little differently in that first one, and then we might, completely change things up when we get to that second Florida State meet. There's a lot of long downhills on that course. Um, the first 1,000 meters is a slight downhill. A lot of people can take it out way too hard, waste a lot of energy going downhill. But at the same time, you got to make sure you're in the mix. If somebody like Izzy wants to be a front runner, which she likes to do, she's got to be smart in that first 1,000 meters and not run herself out of the race early. Um, but there's a nice little hill kind of in the back. You run it twice, so kind of navigating that hill. We don't obviously get a chance to do a lot of hill work down here because it's flat. So getting a chance to experience, even though it's not a huge hill, but just getting a chance to experience what that's going to feel like at certain points in the race is going to be valuable for us come regional meet.
How are you a different coach from when you first got in? Phrased a different way. What's the difference between the Bryan Harmon that first signed that contract to become the distance coach of UCF, a distance coach in cross country, versus the Bryan Harmon we're looking at right now?
That's a really good question, man. I think the main thing is when I got here last year, I thought because I was moving up, right? I came from Stetson, I was there for 7 years, and moving from mid-major to Power Five at the time, I thought I needed to change. And actually, it was a conversation I had with Coach Boone, maybe about 2 or so weeks into the season, and we sat down and I thought about that conversation that we had, and I said to myself, man, she's right. Like I'm for some reason, I'm not the person that I've been the last, whatever it was, 18 years of my coaching career. And I just kind of went back to being myself and, encouraging kids the way I know how, believing in them the way I know how. I'm obviously coaching them and training them the way I know how. And I guess at the end of the day, the formula doesn't change just because you jump up in division. So, going into this year, obviously there was just a ton more confidence because I knew I didn't have to change who I was. And I don't know why I thought that at the beginning of last year, but I did, and it was a huge mistake. And so, the reason Coach Boone is as successful as she is, and she can recognize those things and have those conversations with you and make you a better coach, which was part of the reason and part of the excitement of coming here too, to learn from her. So.
What is the relationship like between you and Coach Boone? Because obviously cross country is kind of considered as a separate team in a way, and Coach Boone is simply listed as head coach because you're the distance coach. So what's it kind of like between the two of you when it comes to the cross country season?
Yeah, well, I'm fortunate, man. She gives me pretty much autonomy over the whole gig, and I keep her in the loop as much as I can, and she's at the end of the day, she's the boss. It's her program, but I think that we're in it for the same thing. I mean, ultimately the cross country team has to help out on the track too, right? And so we need to make sure that we're putting those kids in the position to do that, but. I think she feels comfortable and confident with what I'm doing. And again, I appreciate her confidence that she has in me. So it's fun. It's great. It's great working for her. And I give her little updates on the team here and there. And and like I said, she'll be excited to come out and watch on Friday and get a chance to see those guys because she don't come to a lot of the regular season meets. She obviously comes to Big 12 and gets a chance to see them compete and everything when it matters most. But no, the dynamic's great. The support is there, and I just feel like it's my duty to make sure the program's in good hands and representing it the way that she wants it to be represented.
What's the biggest thing you want to see from this team between now and the when the starting gun goes off on the season on Friday?
Just continued confidence. Like I said, we talk about, it's cliche, but we talk about getting better every single day, right? And we had our first practice on a Wednesday. It was I think it was the 14th or 15th or whatever it was. And we normally practice in the mornings, but on this day we practiced in the afternoon. And we had to go through all of our, the freshmen had orientation, they had to finish up, and we had to go through our compliance meetings and everything to get cleared and everything. I said, okay, when all that's done, we'll hop out to the trail and we'll do a little workout and whatever. And I actually warned them. I warned the team before we went out that day. I said, these next couple of days are gonna suck. And like they laughed, right? And I said, nah, just like trust me, I've been doing this long enough. And so we went out there and we kind of attempted a workout and it had rained during our meeting and by the time we got to the trail, the sun had come back out. So it was like steaming in there. It was like 90 degrees with 90 something percent humidity. And it was rough and it didn't go all that well for really anybody. And I said, hey guys, all right, we got another go round on Saturday. And when we got done with Saturday's workout, I said, all right, guys, raise your hand if today was better than Wednesday. All but two of them raised their hand. I said, okay, raise your hand if it was as good as Wednesday. The other two raised their hand. I said, all right, good. That's what we want. Got another session on Wednesday next week. Same thing. So, we got a session tomorrow morning that we want to put a little emphasis on. And that's what I think I want out of them is just that continued emphasis of, hey, listen, when something matters, let's make sure that we're putting forth everything that we need to. Make sure we're hydrating well. Let's make sure we're getting that good night's sleep the night before, and just understanding that at this level. You don't race yourself into shape like you do at the high school level. You really have to get up for everything. And there's just if you waste a workout, it can be detrimental. And so every time we go out there and we're trying to execute something, it has to be done the way we want it to be done. And so we're starting to get that. And so tomorrow morning, that's what I'm looking for with them. And I know if we go out there tomorrow morning and we handle our business, then I'll have no qualms about Friday, even though we'll have a bunch of nervous Nellies out there on Friday. We will. And that's fine. And that's good. I tell them, hey, guys, if you're nervous, that means you care. If you're nervous, that means it matters to you. Nervous can be a good thing. Don't let it be an anxiety thing. Nervous is good. We'll go out there. That gun will go off. We'll forget about everything. And you'll go back to being the competitor that you know you are.
Well, you've been very generous with your time, Coach, and I really appreciate that. So I'll wrap up with this one. What can Night Nation expect to see? What's the biggest thing you want Night Nation to know about this team going into this season?
That they work hard, man. These are girls who putting in 50, 55, 60 miles a week. They're up and out the door at 6 a.m., 6:15 in the morning on Saturdays or Sundays sometimes. Um, And these girls do work in the weight room too, man. They're just because they're distance runners doesn't mean they're not pushing weight and doing their plyo boxes and their jump boxes. These girls get after it. They put in a lot of time, a lot of effort. They want to get better, and they will. And this is a group that wants to get better, and I'm excited to see how much better they can get.
All right, awesome. Well, best of luck to you and the team as you get started on your season, and hope you have a really good second year in Orlando.
Appreciate it, Bryson. Good talking to you.